Welcome to the first edition of Suitable Conversations with the main man himself, Raja Gulati, the second generation Bobby Gulati, my aunt Rupa, and myself, Dane Gulati. Today we will be discussing the history of Raja's fashions, as many of our friends and family have asked on, and Raja is here to share some interesting stories with us all.
Sawadee everyone, working from home in Bangkok, Thailand. This is Bobby Gulati from Raja's Fashions. Just to share a little bit about the history of Raja's. We have many people and friends and clients from all these years asking us about the history of Raja's. So here I am shedding some light on how my dad Raja Gulati started. He started in 1959 in Ubon, Ratchathani, in a small fabric store where his father had opened a small store up in the northeast of Thailand in Ubon, Ratchathani. That's where I was born also. And that's where my grandfather supplied a lot of fabrics, accessories, buttons to the local tailors. And it so happened that in the early 60s, the US Air Force Base set up a base in Ubon, Ratchathani during the start of the Vietnam War. And many colonels, firemen, and other servicemen used to drop by the store and pick out fabrics and buttons and accessories and take it to this local tailor, which was very close by the store. And they had a little bit of a problem because a lot of the tailors out in that area did not speak very good English. So there was a big communication problem. And so they would call my dad, who used to supply the fabrics to the tailors, and say, hey, can you come and translate for us? And he would do that on a voluntary basis. And that's when the friendship was born with the United States Air Force Base. Raja saw a lot of bulk orders and the price was very reasonable and they were buying in big quantities. So that's when his entrepreneurial ideas kicked in. And it so happened that that summer in the early 60s, my grandfather, my dad's father, went to India on a long vacation. And it took a long time to get back and forth from India. So he had a chance to start his own tailor called the Singh Tailor. Singh is Raja's middle name, Raja Singh Gulati. So he decided to test the waters and have the local tailor work for him instead. So he tried to learn the trade from the local tailor. And things were moving very well along for a couple of months till his father came back and saw this mannequin in the storefront. And he wasn't very happy because at that time, tailoring was not a very well regarded profession in the Thai or Indian culture. So he told my dad, enough of these mannequins, get them out. I don't want to see this again. But the very next day and the next few days, my dad had to say no to a lot of the officers that came in to buy fabrics and get suits made. And he was very sad. And my grandfather sitting at the back there, doing the accounting, said, wait a minute, why am I turning all this business away? So he decided to give it another try. And that's when the rest was history. It so happened that the officers in charge in the United States Air Force Base invited my dad to open up a tailor shop right across the street, Air Force Base. And that's when Raja's Wolfpack Tailor was born.
I'm Raja Gulati. I am the founder of Raja's Fashions Bangkok. Some of my friends who were fighter pilots and to joke with me while they were flying 100 missions, as my store was near the landing strip. They used to say, Raja, we're going to fly low in the morning and break your windows to wake me up. And funny enough, they did so quite a few times. I was invited to all the change of command ceremonies and all the parties. At the base, they used to say, I was everywhere. Over the years, I became good friends with my loyal customers like Colonel Chappie James, the first ever African American 4-star general, and Vietnam War hero Colonel Robin Olds, and former POW Pete Peterson, and ambassador to Vietnam.
Thanks, Dad. Great stories there. I mean, we would spend 2 hours listening to more stories. I've heard them through the years, growing up and being in the business for over 30 years. But Raja's Fashion's history is amazing, and he's a true patriarch of the store and a great mentor. US Air Force Base was settled in Ubon, and that's where the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing and the Wolfpack Squadron was based. They finally closed up and moved the base to Korea, and that's when Rajas moved to Udon, and that's where they had another Air Force base in Udon. And that's when my dad changed the name from Rajas Wolfpack Tailors to Rajas Fashions. And we spent a couple of years in Udon, and that's when the base was winding down. And the officers from the JustMag in Bangkok recommended to set up store in Bangkok. JustMag stands for Joint U.S. Military Advisory Group. And that's when Rajas moved to Bangkok in 1975 and set up in Sukhumvit. There were lots of opportunities in Bangkok. I personally joined in 1984, and Rupa, my loving sister here, the beautiful one in the family, joined in 2005. And then came Dane, marching in with a fresh graduation from University of Miami in Florida in 2015. So now we have 3 generations and 4 people working in the family business. And we are proudly celebrating 56 years. And between the 4 of us, we have over 100 years of collective experience.
So I grew up in the business, working at Rogers every summer in high school and middle school. Used to work every Saturday as well. I used to dread it actually, but Dad and Grandpa always told me, come in, learn the trade, see what life is all about, and get a feel for yourself. So growing up in the business, I learned the true value of one of our mottos, which is quality, value, and service. I learned what that means to us as a family and as a brand. I wanted us to get better. I wanted to introduce higher quality fabrics, materials, as well as branded fabrics on top of that. With that being said, I wanted to make the process a little bit more standardized. I wanted to make sure that everyone had the same opportunities. And with that being done, we went on the process of developing our own state-of-the-art in-store app, which now we are proudly using at the store for the last year and a half. Introduced bespoke jeans, which are selling off the rack. We are doing shorts, boxers for some fun clients, and we've been working on our new fully e-commerce website now in quarantine, and looking forward to sharing that with you. This April that just passed, we were actually supposed to do our first ever Rajas Fashions trunk show in Houston and DC. Me and Dad were supposed to travel out there, but due to the whole epidemic, we had to postpone that until future notice. So we are looking forward to introducing that next year when everything is settled, and we look forward to seeing all your friendly faces over there. We have a wide social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and many other platforms like LinkedIn, which Dad is very vocal on. And this concludes the first edition of the Suitable Conversations. We have 7 more episodes coming up, so stay tuned. We're going to be dropping it once a week. Please like, share, and subscribe, and drop us a note and share some stories. We would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.